What I thought today, what I thought we'd do today is, since the track proposals are due tomorrow, and we've been making updates and things, and getting further review and stuff like that, I just thought it'd be good to run through those and make sure that, everything looks reasonable. Does that sound like a good plan?
It's good to me.
All right, I will share my screen and we will do transitions of care first. Okay. So hopefully everybody can see this. Does everybody see my screen?
Yes.
All right. So there's a short description that kind of talks about what we were planning on doing. And really that's really kind of combining transitions of care, standardized medication profile, and personal functioning engagement to show how we can exchange this information across a variety of different settings. Um, and we'll get into more detail down below. There's a long description, which is pretty much our boilerplate stuff for providing the background of these of what why transitions of care and these other standardized medication profile and personal function engagement are important. Um, and talks about how the goals, what each of these implementation guides do. Um, we are looking to test the implementation guide. We are the related tracks is advanced directives interoperability, since we will be this time incorporating advanced directives data, hopefully in our transitions of care. We have a call out for various participants, clinicians, practitioners, therapists, allied professionals from each of the five PAC settings. Um, and obviously EHR folks who are very much welcome, and other health IT folks for providers. We have really the track prerequisites for participating is kind of reviewing the implementation guides, have some familiarity with the sample data and the scenario, and hopefully if possible develop software to test the implementation guides. The track leads will be James and Brian. Um, and if others want to lead the track too, that's fine. And then we have various different specifications. There could be up to six, depending on how much we're able to do. So there's the transitions of care, standardized medication profile, personal functioning engagement, but then we're also including advanced directive stuff. I'd like to see if we can try to put together maybe some dental data, and some of the discharge summary, and that's maybe a little bit in question. May and I think, are talking about that as to whether we want to try to maybe make some changes there. But at any rate, that's what we're kind of leaning towards right now. Expected participants, MITRE and Global Alliant. I'm in the process of trying to get confirmations from a lot of other folks, particularly the ones that have been, you know, uh, working on our on these kinds of activities in the past. We also reached out to a few new folks that were, particularly talking with about pilots and things like that. And this might be a good way to start to get them on board. So we'll see if they are able to do so. And then, we do have a Zulip stream. It's the same stream that we have been using for our Connectathons. There will be a track kickoff call that it will be determined at some, future point. It'll probably be 2 or 3 weeks before the Connectathon. So sometime probably in June. And then so the testing scenario, we want to test, we really kind of want to continue to build out and make the data set that we're exchanging richer. So including more advanced directives with medications, perhaps unstructured jurisdictional forms, structured information leveraging, the sample data we're going to be using for the ADI track, um, things like that. So that's would be available for display. Transitions of care with more complete sample data, as mentioned, incorporating international patient summary data, dental data. So international patient summary helps provide some of the historical data for the patient. Dental data, is dental data, and the CCDA on fire discharge summary, which again we may make a change there. Um, Global Alliance is very interested in testing the Zarat burden interview assessment, as well as the Promise Global Health 10 assessment, and that will be they are developing a Smart on Fire app for that. We've gotten confirmation from them. So that's great. And these things we have not tested with the personal functioning engagement IG before. So we believe that we're looking through it and looking through what we have in the implementation guide that we should be able to support this pretty much out of the box. Um, and so we want to try to verify that. And then testing the Presto assessment app, filling out the various different assessment forms. So we've
Is that
done.
Dave, is that a pending or we can confirm we're going to demo Presto?
So, I think we can move it into the bonus.
Yeah, I think it would
I'm
be
fine with that.
better do that.
But yeah, but so I can move that down here. But it would be nice to be able, if we can, to test other types of forms there. Um,
Dave,
so
did you see my note on ADI? I
uh,
put a note in there. You've got it referenced as an unstructured document. Isn't it a partially structured document just to carry the verbiage consistently?
sure.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
Maria, I think it could put it partially structured, but we might want to, I think from previous conversations, you mentioned putting the minimally structured document support for TOC. If you want them
That's
more,
the
we can change
one.
it.
That's the one. Yes,
Okay.
it was minimally. Thank you, May. It wasn't. I know it's not unstructured, but I know it's not fully structured. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Okay,
Yep.
yeah, no worries, of course.
Hmm.
That's such a
Um,
small chain. Anyway,
yeah, no, thank you. So there's also potentially there's testing care plan management using a variety, potential variety of U.S. core-based profiles. I know that Nancy Lush has been doing some work with the electronic long-term services and support care plan, which is based off of U.S. core, and there are other care plans as well that could potentially be used. Again, I'm trying, I want to try to do an impressive demo, but I also want to keep us focused on IG development. So, connectathons have a tendency to suck all the oxygen out of the room. So, we'll have to balance that. And then there's potentially a new TS transitions of care group for around patient advocacy. And and yesterday actually another potential group was brought up around social workers. Um, and depending on whether we can get a quorum on that, which is five social workers, we can go through the data elements on that. But that may change or update the minimum set that we have in transitions of care. And so um, if we can support that and create some sample data for it, then we can test that. And then non-Dell data elements, which we have talked about a bit in the past, but their focus has thus far been more on the Dell data elements for testing. Um, so, and so the scenario will integrate these various different items. And so We'll be testing for personal functioning engagement. Um, we'll be testing communication status, cognitive status, ICF categorization, the Zurich burden interview, caregiver burden assessment, and the Promise Global Health 10 assessment. Um, you know, um, and for ADI, it's leveraging kind of what the data for the track that we're, the ADI track, such as, structured and minimally structured documents and then we have in the past for Betsy Smith Johnson had some breast cancer meds as treatment and behavioral health stuff. Not as nearly as comprehensive as what we had for Jenny Mosley, but it was there. So this is kind of the scenario that we had in for the September 2024.
Did that have to go in with the track proposal, or can we pull it until we refine it? I don't know what the
Oh,
rules are.
well, I mean, the thing is you can put it in there and, but it can be updated. So it's, it's kind of you want to have enough to pique the interest of people to get them involved. And you can point them to, but, I mean, we can certainly pull back on some of this if we feel that
I mean,
it's,
I was just asking. I know you're on the TOC one, so I'm just asking for when you get to the ADI one.
yeah, I mean, the goal here really is to, at least at this point, is to at least gain interest from people, show that we've thought about this, that we have some plans, and this might be a cool thing for you to get involved in. But if we want to hold back things on things that we're not sure about yet, that I think that would be fine too. But I think there's a balance there. So that's kind of what I want to try to tease out here as to what we can you want to continue to include, and of course CMS has a voice in this as well, since they sponsor the work. So, um, but I just kind of wanted to sort of go over. This is right now kind of what would go in to the in for tomorrow. So, if there's things that folks are uncomfortable with, then we can certainly look to pull those things out or change them. So there will be updates probably to this diagram and things like that. And then there's the overview of the system roles. Um, and right now there'll probably be some additions here for the certainly the Global Alliance stuff, um, to include the ZBI and the Promise 10 assessments. We have test scripts, at least for personal functioning engagement. And all data will be synthetic. We will be using open endpoints. We are not going to do any kind of security-based things here. So
So
what do
th
folks think?
does Betsy have the dementia built in her storyline? Or we have to, in order to get their dementia caregiver questionnaire, we need to modify the story.
Yeah, that's one thing that, I want to have further conversation with the Global Alliance on that as to exactly what they feel they need,
Hmm.
or whether the Zarat burden interview and Promise 10 can be used, without having necessarily detailed dementia information.
Yeah, yeah. If there like a mental status change, and you can also do the assessment, and not necessarily.
Yeah, we've had sample data, in fact, recently for Betsy Smith that she had two MoCA tests.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So, I mean, we could talk about what types of evaluations you want. Um, but those help to track a progression of dementia as well.
Okay. So I think that that should be, I'm really trying not to spend a lot of time creating new sample data that we don't need to create. So, um, because as I said, I do want things to focus. I do want to keep focus on the IG development.
Okay. Oh,
So,
and I apologize. I just want to make sure I have the right context, just didn't derail it. Were you saying like, evaluations for dementia in light of what's available in the Dell or just any kind of assessment for?
well, I think that's something that we would want to confirm with Global Alliant, since
Okay.
that's the kind of their, this is kind of their, piece of it. So,
Okay.
in my view, if the Zarat Burden and interview and the Promise 10 global health assessment, doesn't require having, I mean, I want it to seem right clinically, but
Uh-huh.
if we don't have to have that information to do those things, test those things, then I'd rather not have to do it.
Got it. Makes sense. Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah,
So,
Dave, I think those assessment instruments are independent of the diagnosis because they're caregiver stress
yeah.
measures. It's the behavior of Betsy Smith Johnson that will be important. So we just have to modify a little bit of her behavior.
Okay. That's good to know. Okay. So, yeah, I think if we can, have a minimum set of data that supports that, then that would be fine. I don't want to go hog wild on it. At least not at this point. So, so that's kind of what we have planned. There'll be some updates, but for this is really just to get something in for Friday tomorrow. Um, and we will certainly update it. Any thoughts of things that we shouldn't include or want to update before we put it in? Going once, going twice. All right. Well, let me know if you do have any thoughts on this. If you come up, if you think about something after the meeting, and we can certainly try to incorporate it. I mean, we'll probably be continuing to refine this, you know, for today and through tomorrow. We will need to put it in by the end of tomorrow. So, all right. And then I will move over to advanced directives.
Woo! The crowd goes wild.
Uh, Maria, do you want to drive this one, or shall I?
Oh, heavens to Betsy. I certainly can. Dave, you did such a beautiful job of pulling together the whole track proposal. All I did was, just kind of make it consistent, things that are probably only important to me and not important to anybody else. So you tell me, we can do rock, paper, scissors, or you can keep going, or you can tell me to do it because I'll do what you tell me to.
All right. Well, I mean, that's fine. I mean, I can go through this and you can chime in wherever you feel I've gotten something wrong or
I
need.
never do that. That would be so uncharacteristic. All right, go ahead. I'll try.
Okay. Um, so this, we have the short description here. Here we're basically looking to test. This is really our final time to test something before we put the advanced directives, and we're actually looking to rename it to be Advanced Healthcare Directive Interoperability, because there's some confusion as we get down later on to talk about person-authored advanced directives, but. So we're looking to change that. So this will be really exercising the 5 use cases, which is creating, sharing, querying, updating, and verifying that we have the current version across all of the various different types of information that we've been dealing with. So that includes the person-authored advanced directives, the advanced care plan, the portable medical order, and the mental health advanced directives. And so some of those are structured, some of them will be minimally structured. And so that's what we want to try to test at this Connectathon and demonstrate. There's a long description here which goes over what each of these things are. There's still we need to still update with this here, um, but otherwise,
So do you think I made a mistake in leaving all that verbiage in there? It is my the highest priority opportunity for improvement that I have as a professional. I always use too many words. Do you think we need to collapse it a little bit, or do you think going that deep, knowing CMS is the audience, is important? Please be honest. If you think it's too long,
no, I
I
don't
can
think it's
try
too
to
long.
sharpen my pencil.
No,
Okay.
I don't think it's too long. I think it's fine. And this is, we've used this in prior Connectathons. And so I think this is fine. This part of it is new, but I think other than that, I think this is fine. It really kind of explains what each of these things are and how they all, to some degree, how they all fit together. So I think that's all very useful information for not only for CMS, but for anybody who's participating.
Okay,
Or what's
super. I just want to make sure because I look at it and it's long, but then I try to think about how we could trim it for someone who isn't as close to this subject matter as we are. And I'm thinking, I can't figure out what to pare out of there that might not be helpful. So I trust you guys to look at it and say, all right, you need to take 2 sentences out of each one. I don't care where it comes from, but shorten this up or not.
Yeah, so this has been also shared with CMS, and so CMS can, provide their input as well. But I personally find this to be fine. And as I mentioned, for particularly for folks new to this work, I think it provides a good background as to what this is all about. Um,
I had an idea and call for participants too.
yep.
I loved when IHI or MyHin was in the mix. And we've talked about, like, we just processed a JIRA ticket that said you need to have three parties in your scenarios, not just two. What
Hmm.
would it maybe draw people to the table if we added, maybe after PHRs, um, a generic way to say health information exchanges? What if we could get a QHIN or an HIE like CRISP or somebody to the table? Would you be opposed in that call for participants? The very top line where it says EHRs, EMRs, PHRs, HIEs slash QHINs. Would you be opposed to doing something like that, or do you think, okay,
Oh,
good?
no, I mean,
Because
I
I
think,
loved when my hen was in it. It was so helpful.
yeah, yeah. And so I think to some degree, the more the merrier. I mean, if if there's a whole lot of new folks coming into this, then, of course that we'll have to train, get them all trained up on
Sure,
this.
sure,
There is some, but I think
sure.
getting those folks on here would add a lot of credibility to it. Absolutely.
Yep. Okay, good. Thank you. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, no. The track prerequisites, we're looking for systems that can create, consume, exchange, and enable access to their documents. Would be a skill. I think also, having view what the implementation guides. So I'll probably copy some of the verbiage over from the other track to say, familiarity with the implementation guide would be useful as well. Maria, May, and Lisa are the track leads. Um, and so then this is the specification. This is the continuous integration build, which will have the latest and greatest stuff in it. Expected participants, looking for those wanting to break the bonds of paper to ADI. And so hopefully, we'll at least have the folks that have been working on this in the last few Connectathons. So I've reached out to Pi Connect Health and Washington as well. Um, So hopefully we'll get confirmation on that soon. And the Zulip stream, same one we have been using. We will have a track kickoff call again, probably late June timeframe. It really will depend on when Sandy, Vance, and CMS want to have those. But that's what I'm guessing will be the case 2 to 3 weeks before the Connectathon. Testing goals, we want to really test more sophisticated data exchange and scenarios. Like, we've been working a lot on permit and deny scenarios. We want to try to incorporate more of those. Certification of providers, inclusion of facilitators, some additional order types. We have talked about three-party transitions, app to AP to health information exchange to repository instead of directly from app to repository or facilitator to practitioner to repository. So those are a little bit more complex scenarios.
I
Go ahead.
think we ought to wordsmith certification of providers, because that's actually a thing. When people credential within their provider setting, they will go out and they will, credential those providers. That's not what this is. This is the certification or professional designation of providers, right? We're not certifying providers in a healthcare way of thinking.
Okay. Does
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
So Maria, I
work?
think from our previous conversations, were you thinking of like the more simple, um, uh, title that it would say MD or NP or, the RN? Is that what we mean by professional designation?
Yeah, let me get over to my scan. Oh, I hate working on one screen. Oh my God, I cannot think when I'm on one screen. Hold on one second. And it was those value sets that we were talking about. I actually need to bring that up on Monday because I ran across two and I want to make sure that the scan is right. 1 minute.
Okay. No,
I
no,
can't do this on a single screen.
yeah. And no worries, and we
Yeah.
could just leave it off to keep going. I was just
Yeah.
wondering if that's, off the cuff, if that's what you're thinking about. Because I think
Yeah.
you're right, certification is like, you could be FACOG or you could be specific to oncology, and then you'd have all these, specialized, right,
Right. And I
certifications.
know what our system does, and I think other systems would do it if they have the data, which is what I'm trying to get there. God bless America. Yeah. So it's like a practitioner dot identifier, and it is their professional degree or certification level. And what I have learned is that, in some states, an advanced practice nurse, an APRN, can go ahead and sign and execute. Well, when you can identify, because you need to, sort of that professional degree or certification level associated with the user record, you can actually institute logic as an implementer and say, oh, well, you're an MSW. I can't have you signing things. Like, that's not legal. So that's a long anecdote to what I think is a really important nuance. To me, it's no different than the data absent reason that we pioneered. And I think this is a really important area for us to flex our muscles.
Okay, so then, and maybe this is like a tip of the hat to Terry, is that, it's the respect for scope of practice, right, behind the advanced directives, and that would, depend upon your state, which we have jurisdiction information behind, as
Yeah.
as well as your professional designation, right?
I love that, because we've got a matrix in our product that we've got the state, and then we've got, oh, are you an MD? Are you a DO? Are you a PA? Are you an NP? Are you an APRN? And we actually associate role-based security privileges based on that credential. So, when you look at the state regs, they're kind of doing the same thing on paper. So I think it's kind of, I don't know, me and data. I think it's sexy. I think it's cool.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, thanks for clarifying that. I think that reads better.
Right, and it's not behind advanced directives. It's actually behind portable medical orders.
Yeah,
PMOs are the ones that are stinky about it.
yeah. Yeah. And then, without overscoping, I could also, that really does apply to anything, actually.
Right?
Orders, referrals,
Yep.
even filling out certain types of forms, right?
Yeah. And I think, it's a little
Yeah.
bit of work and we're kind of creating a matrix, but it's different than what we demoed before. And I believe these kinds of integrity safety catches, right, with the Make America Healthy Again, I think these are the little nuances that might have a certain amount of appeal. And I could be way wrong, but this is the way I'm seeing it.
Yeah, makes sense. Okay,
So is
thanks for
this,
clarifying. Right.
so did I capture that correctly? Or where we landed?
I love it. Yes, yes. And it's not just for filling out, it's actually for signing, which is, I guess you can just say signing. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a really neat nuance. I think people like Lorraine would be like, ooh, nice.
Mm-hmm.
Because we hear
Okay.
that from our health system users. They're like, you don't let nurses sign, blah, 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 blah. So anyway, it's a little teeny tiny thing, but maybe details matter.
I think it's a pretty important thing.
Good. I do too, but I just didn't want to be the one. Yeah.
Yeah, it's all it gets to that whole, it's all like part of that whole consent thing, and who has what roles and what can they do and can't do and all of that. So
Yeah. And I think we have lessons to teach other groups that are working on IGs.
yeah, agreed.
Thank you.
All right.
Sorry, everybody else.
Yep, testing the latest changes to the ADIIG, refinement of jurisdiction of source form, healthcare designation and consent. Verifying all 5 use cases for the various types of data that we're working with, some structured, some minimally structured. And this is really tries to align with the HHS priorities, addressing challenges with chronic disease, serious illnesses, and end of life decisions that have recently been voiced by the new administration. So,
Oh, that's great. Did you like those quotes that I dug out? I thought really pointing to the specific wording and links might be helpful.
mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yep. I
Love
think
it.
so.
Love it.
So we're going to be basing this scenario off of similar to what we did back in September. But we are making changes we have made changes to the IG and we will be, testing those as well. So there will be some updates. And so in this is a sort of a top level view of the scenario where and we've updated some of those dates from the September Connectathon to reflect now that we're in 2025. So Betsy Smith Johnson has a personal advanced care plan and a mental health advanced directive from late 2024 and early 2025. She has shared that with Charles, her son and healthcare agent, so that he can speak for her. She arrives in the emergency room with swelling in her legs and shortness of breath, which exacerbates her mental health conditions, and she receives an echocardiogram and a referral to a
Oh,
cardiologist. Sorry?
hey, did we set June 17th back a bit, or am I being crazy?
I think I took this from what
Okay.
you sent me. But
June and
I think
July. I mean, just visually, they mix me up. Okay.
so we've got other
Yeah.
stuff down here with June 24th and then later July 1st and July 3rd.
I'm sorry. You're
So,
so right. I apologize. I'm sorry.
well, yeah, and I think we can play around with the dates a bit. I don't think at this point the dates are cast in stone or anything.
Okay.
It's sort of, I think they're more here to give context of the order of things that happen.
Yeah.
And then we can, we can play around with the dates.
All right, I
Uh,
got you. I'm sorry.
yep, no worries. Um, and so that's really all background. And then, the real action starts in scene one, where we have a portable medical order that's created and stored in digital form. So she visits with her new cardiologist and recognizes that she has heart disease and diabetes and hypertension and hyperlipidemia that are all worsening.
Do we want to leave Michigan in there? Should we take the state out until we get some more participants?
I'm fine with that. Yeah, I don't
Okay.
think we need to necessarily spell out Michigan right now.
Okay.
So
Okay. Good.
especially at two, if we have Washington State Department of Health
Right?
involved, we may want to move it.
Yeah.
So, we just need to make sure that it makes sense. I don't want to
Mhm.
have to make a whole lot of changes to the sample data if we don't need to.
No, amen. Amen. Yeah.
Um, so because we've got organizations and locations and all kinds of other stuff in there. Um,
Yeah. Jim. Okay.
yeah. But I want it to be meaningful for Washington. Um,
Yeah.
and then so the cardiologist recommends that she complete a portable medical order. Portable medical order is created through the doctor's app, and that's a structured portable medical order. And so this kind of goes over the activities and the success criteria here for this scene. And then scene two, and much of this is kind of the same as what we had in September, as far as the requirements and all that. Then the PMO is shared to the HIE or registry, a repository, and made available for query and retrieve. And that's just where it shows up in all the clients. And there's various, hopefully we'll have a good set of clients to pull this down and show it in a
Let's,
variety of different
yeah.
ways. Go ahead.
We need to fix one word. Go back up. Go back up. So the storyline, it's not Betsy that understands because we're actually taking it from the clinician app. So we could say Betsy's cardiologist. There you go. Understands, will inform emergency care. Love it. Love it. It will inform care for many providers. Okay. And the PMO's made it. Thank you. Perfect.
Yep. Okay. And so this is now made available to the HIE in the repository, and it can be then used by a variety of clients. And so that's what really the success criteria is here, is that the consumers can receive this information and confirm that, the following information is there in current versions and stuff like that. And we'll render it so that, it means something to the audience of that particular consumer app, whether it's a patient and their families or whether it's the clinician. And then in scene three, the portable medical order and personal advanced care plan are updated and stored in digital form. And reflects different treatment choices due to her ER visit. And she also has a scheduled visit with her oncologist. And so now she has some deeper reflection and wants to soften some of her choices. And so Dr. Onko, her oncologist, agreed that the PMO that she created earlier needs to be voided and a new one needs to be created. And so this is done with Dr. Onko's app. And so again, that's updated, stored in the repository. And then that information is shared and made available, and so all the other clients can see it. Um, so, and that's pretty much the scenario. We do have test scripts, and this will be all synthetic data, and open endpoints will be used. So, any thoughts on this? We have again until tomorrow, end of tomorrow, to get this into the submit it for as a track proposal. And again, we can modify it afterwards. but it's really just something to get in there to show that we've thought about this, and to, hopefully again spur some interest in what we're doing.
So I just want to share yesterday during our PACIO weekly call, Shelley from SAMS, and she texted me and she emphasized the patient-centered care perspective through the Connectathon testing scenario. I think the ADI track is reflects very well about the patient's preference goal. And I think probably we also want to build more about that pieces in the TOC track.
Hmm.
Hey, Yolanda, this is Jessica. Sorry, I totally
Hi.
missed the part I was supposed to be here for, but
No
hopefully we
problem.
can help
Hey,
with that.
welcome, Jessica.
Well, we
Sorry.
can jump back. We can jump back to that.
Yeah, yeah. I guess that's at this point, I think we can add more narratives and enhance the storyline to emphasize the patient and patient caregivers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm so sorry
Yeah.
that I missed the walkthrough and I'm gonna make y'all double back. But
Well,
Dave,
I have a hard
Well,
stop
yeah,
now,
okay,
so y'all
sorry.
can double back for Jess because
Sure.
I've got to run down to a meeting. But yeah, give her everything she needs. I don't care.
so just before we do that, I just want to make sure everybody's okay with what we have here for advanced directives. Is there anybody who doesn't agree with what we have here?
I think it hits our 5 use cases. I think, and I can't remember what scene it is, but I have to pop downstairs. I think it might be helpful when we name the scene to specifically call out which of the 5 use cases. Is this a create and query retrieve? Is this an update and a verify current version? I don't know if that would be important, but I want to make sure we've got the, emphasis on the right syllable when we're laying out these scenes that we're like, okay, this test, numbers 1 and 3, this test, numbers 2 and 4, this test, etc. Do you know what I'm trying to say
Yeah,
and not saying it very well?
yeah, no, I think we can create a table to show that and have the scenes and
Okay.
then the 5 use cases and have check marks for each, that are covered in that scene. And I think that'll give a good overview.
I'm really proud of the work that you did, Dave. I think we've drawn enough differentiators as to the importance of the metadata. And for HL7 purposes, we're running through every last one of the 5 use cases with a variety of different structured documents. And let's see if Dr. Skopak can chase something out that we missed. I will be available for our call tomorrow, but I have to run downstairs for a quarterly meeting. So I will leave it in y'all's capable hands. I think it's a tremendous body of work personally.
Okay, great. Thank you. And you give me too much credit. You wrote this originally for September, so I'm leveraging a lot of
Yeah.
your work. So,
I just appreciate everything you guys do. All right, I'm going to drop off the call. Just ping me if you need me.
all right, great. Thank you.
Bye, bye guys.
All right, we'll jump back to transitions of care. So I think the piece, Jessica, that we have here. So we have expected participants. We can actually now we've gotten confirmation from you folks, so that's great. And testing goals, we've included these two. I don't, but you tell me whether that's correct or not.
So definitely the ZBI. I don't know if we maybe want to make Promise 10 like one of those stretch goal kind of things. I'm not sure about that one. Definitely ZBI.
Okay, you can put this down in the bonus section.
Yeah, that'd be good. Um, Yeah, and to Yolanda's point, I think, the scenario that we want to add here is, it is patient focused, but it's also identifying the kind of the health concerns and the impacts on the caregivers as well. That's what the ZBI is intended to do. So
Mm.
it's meant to assess the health impact on the caregiver because the caregiver is also a patient, right? Like in its own in their own right. So I
Right.
think that it can be you know, I'd like to see what you've got with the scenario here already, but we were kind of thinking, it will be possible to share the responses back to the caregiver with some of the caregivers' healthcare professionals. You know what I mean? Like maybe their primary care provider or like, mental health provider or behavioral health, something like that.
Yeah, so right now it's pretty much similar to what we had done back in a previous Connectathon,
Mhm.
and this needs to be updated. But I have sort of you know, started to put together the system roles here. It's not complete, and it does not include your stuff yet.
Okay.
But so we've got, till tomorrow evening to get this in. Um, so it's we can certainly update and I can share what we have with you so that you can, you know, add your whatever you think should be.
Yeah, and I mean, if there's an opportunity also in terms of the systems roles, because this is part of an existing CMMI model, I think it would be really interesting, to show the application, since it's the CMS Connectathon, for how to send this information directly to CMS, in addition to, the the person with dementia's healthcare providers and also the person who is the caregiver's healthcare providers. That's kind of the, systems that would be possible to share between.
Yeah, the other question that we had when we went through this the first time was how much dementia information do we need to have? We have a couple of MoCA assessments for
Mhm.
Betsy Smith Johnson already. Is that sufficient, or do we need to create more?
Um, so the software, and again, I'm gonna need to, before I commit to anything like that stuff with Denise, but the software that like we have developed is really like centered on the ZBI and the Promise 10, and it has its own like assessment questions. So basically the idea would be to like use the Smart on Fire application to collect that assessment.
Okay. So it doesn't sound like that we would need to have any kind of significant um, dementia-related information or
No, I
behavioral
mean
health
for
information.
for for purposes of the storyline, it might be helpful. But
Hmm.
it's kind of it's focused on the caregiver. That's why I'm
Yeah.
reluctant to commit to the Promise 10 part, because there is, for the CMMI model, like there is kind of a tiering and like an assessment that they do for purposes of determining the level of severity of the dementia itself. That's kind of a separate process.
Okay. All right. So yeah, what I could do, I mean, I suppose, I can certainly send this to you and you guys can hash through it and make any, recommendations.
Yeah, and I guess
To
I
have
thought we had more time. This seems like super early in the process to be, like in the past, I feel like, we've been a little more high level. This is kind of you know, a little bit closer to the Connectathon version of everything that we're doing.
Well, we're trying to leverage as much as I can, and the thing
Sure.
is I mean, we talked about too whether we can leave stuff out for now
Hmm.
that we think is just not ready and is too detailed. Um, we can leave that out and make it higher level if that's what we think we need to do. So, I mean, this I have this diagram in here for now just for
Hmm.
context.
Sure.
It's but it's the basic structure of it would be the same.
Hmm.
We'd have of the various scenes, and then what happens in the scenes would change or be need to be updated. These diagrams with systems would need to be upgraded. It would need to be include your Smart on Fire app, and if you want to be submitting stuff to CMS, then we would have a CMS here as well. So, and then the system roles need to be updated.
Hmm.
so that's what I'll do is that we'll I'll make sure we you know clean things up a little bit, and then I'll send this off to you, and you guys can review it and make changes. Does that
That would
sound
be
reasonable?
great. Yes.
Yeah, because I don't know,
Yeah.
what scene, you want to be involved in, and or multiple scenes or whatever. So where the ZBI and the, would fit in.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, I have some time with Denise tomorrow at 11, so I can talk through some of this with her then.
okay, great. Excellent. All right, we have 5 minutes left. Anything else we want to talk about? I think we're in pretty decent shape to be able to get something in. Not hearing anything, so I will give you all 4 minutes back. Thank you very much, and we'll talk to you next week, or maybe sooner.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.